I think what it is, especially for people who start to like get away from eating out so much, changing your diet. One thing is, I think that person, everyone around them, they become a reflection of what they aren't willing to do.
Welcome to the Success Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Christian Evans. This podcast is for women and men over 30 who want to achieve success in their fitness journey. And our special guest today, Shamar James, will help us do just that once he tells us what motivated him to start losing weight and lose a total of 155 pounds. Without further ado, Success Fitness family, please welcome Shamar James to the podcast. How you doing, Shamar?
I'm doing great today. How about yourself?
No problem. Now, me and Shamar have somewhat of a connection. I work out with his brother. His brother's name is Shaq. You've probably seen some of his videos on my Instagram. And he showed me his brother's transformation picture. He's so proud of his brother. He's so proud of him. And once I seen his transformation picture, I said, oh my God, I got to have him on the podcast. So we exchange information and here we are. So I'm always delighted to share my platform with those who have lost weight or who have become fitness professionals. And Shamar is a hybrid of both. And so we want to go ahead and introduce Shamar. So Shamar, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so you met my brother. He kind of made the trek, but we're originally from South Carolina. I grew up in a pretty small town. I got my undergrad in psychology at the University of South Carolina, and right now I'm currently in Texas, kind of getting my master's in Kinesiology. And growing up, I was kind of always a big child, or at least around the middle school time.
Okay. So around middle school, you started to be more conscious about your physical appearance. And what did that do to like your mental? What were you thinking? What did you notice back then?
Back then I was pretty shy, pretty insecure.
Okay.
So even like the social media presence at the time, I would have never thought that I would have like be posting pictures, especially like sleeveless pictures or like tape pictures, stuff like that. Even when I started playing sports. So I just know for me, that I didn't talk too much. I kind of stayed away from people, kind of secluded myself. I was like the background child.
Yeah. Right. So how many siblings do you have altogether?
Two. Shaq, who you met, and my younger brother. So I'm a middle child.
Okay, so you're the middle child.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. So you're still little bro and big bro too, right?
Yeah.
You kind of like that.
I'm kind of a little big bro, as Shaquille like calls
Yeah. I got you. So when you were in grade school or middle school, were you active in sports or anything? Did you want to get active in sports? Was it your weight that you feel held you back if you didn't?
It was a combination of all of those. So I was actually a very active child. I was always outside playing. We would do things. And then around like when I turned 12, I joined the football team. Actually, my brother was a very big inspiration for that. I really did look up to him because he did football and he did rugby. I was like, all right, well, I want to do a sport. I was like, I want to, be active, be cool with that. And so like I started there, but I actually really didn't want to do football. I actually wanted to do soccer and tennis. But being, by the time I was 12, I was already 300 pounds. So that makes it a little difficult to kind of play those sports and to kind of keep up with everyone else. So my path was kind of determined based off of my size, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get you. Now, at 12 years old, can you remember what your height was at 12 years old? You said you were 12 years old, 200 pounds?
Yes. So I was actually a tall kid. So around then, I was already like 6'1".
Jeez, okay, tall kid.
That awkward phase where I had to catch up to everyone else. I was growing.
I got you. And what's your height right now?
I'm about 6'3".
Okay, 6'3". Okay, tall. And how old are you now?
24.
Okay, 24. Okay, 24, 6'3". All right. So sports, getting active and this was this still middle school, grade school, or was this more high school going into?
So this is at the end of middle school, about 12.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I ended up like really committing to football, track and field once I got into high school.
And got you. That's always a funny stage in regards to like age wise, right? And I can just remember 8th grade going into freshman year, and you're trying to psych yourself up. You know what I mean? Because it's like, all right, I've been in primary school, middle school, and now I'm being in school with potentially 18-year-olds. As a 12 or 13-year-old, you're thinking about, the next step, it's freshman and then it's sophomore and, junior and senior. And you're thinking more from that standpoint. And it's like, okay, maybe I do need to get active. Maybe I do need to do something, that never happened with me. I always thought about it. I didn't play any sports going until I always saw other people doing it. I'm like, I just kind of just was like, I'm not going to do that. So how was it walking into your freshman year, now being active in sports? Were you officially on the sports team, or what was that experience like then?
Oh yeah, the coaches, they were all for it, because by the time I had reached 315. I remember that vividly. And they were like, "Oh, you're going to be an offensive lineman." And
Gotcha.
so I didn't even join the freshman team. I went straight to JV, and I dressed, because at the time in South Carolina you could. I would dress for varsity.
Okay.
So I started off there right into high school.
Okay. So what did you think about football during that time?
I actually enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it, especially being offense. I wasn't a big defensive player.
Okay.
I think for me, it was more mentally stimulating to be on offense, learn plays, coordinating a lot of things.
Okay. Now, were you introduced to weightlifting then, kind of like building up to the season, like your freshman debut, or how did you get introduced to weightlifting? Because I'm pretty sure, you have to do some type of strength training far as for football. I legit went out. I started working out, didn't go out. I started working out my junior year, going into my senior year. Then I just stopped, but I just remember being in the weight room then. So did that happen to you during that, freshman debut, far as for you?
Yeah. So that spring semester of middle school, that last year, we actually were allowed to travel over to the high school and do lifts with them.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it was like a program they had, and that was kind of how I got introduced into lifting with a more structured program. So I've actually been lifting for 12 years.
Really? Okay.
Long time.
Okay. What can you remember? What was your first lift? What was your first lift on anything? What could you like? Yeah. What can you remember?
I actually do remember that. My max after, just before starting high school, for squat was 225, and my max for bench was 215. Deadlift, I don't remember too much.
I got you. Now, was that just right out the gate? Like, soon as like you touch some weights, were you like just trying to see how much you can do, and 215 was your like the max that you got, or was that just more of a progressive accomplishment?
I think that was the max we got, because that day it was like specific max testing.
Okay. Did you surprise yourself?
I actually was surprised.
Okay.
225 was a big goal, especially like being 12. I was like, I felt big.
So you were 12 years old, bench pressing you might as well say 225, right? Man, that's amazing. So how did your peers look at you then? Did they look at you a little bit different after they saw you do it compared to beforehand?
It was one of those like, oh, he's gonna be strong, because we also in high school we also competed in weightlifting, so like at the regional and state level. So like I kept doing that, squat, bench, deadlift, and actually my highest bench I ever got in high school at the age of, I had turned 18 at the time, but we're just skipping a few years. But I did reach 405 for bench.
405, goodness gracious.
405 for bench. I reached like 625 for deadlift, 525 for squat, and then I kind of tapered off from there.
I got you. What is it about weightlifting that drives you, or drove you back then? So back then, we're sticking to that era. What kind of just motivated you to keep trying to get stronger and go for a 400-pound bench press back then?
Back then it was for the sport. I was like,
gotcha.
I didn't feel like I was the best football player, but I was like, if I can be strong enough to be a problem, then I would continue.
Yeah.
So that was more a big driver. And for also lifting, I was like, okay, I'm still figuring out the nutrition kind of side of this, but if I can slow down the progress of me gaining so much weight, then that was kind of like original goals for that. So I just wanted to be strong, being strong, good player.
Okay. So, you're go ahead and say big football star,
Yeah.
big football star in high school, Mr. Strongman. And then somehow either what was it during high school or when you got out of high school, did you realize, all right, I got an issue here with far as my weight? When was that? When did that happen for you?
I definitely started recognizing in high school because my parents, as well as like my grandmother, my great grandma, my great aunt, all had great influences on my life. They were let us know. They were very aware of like, okay, like this isn't healthy. We need to fix this. And then when I went to college, I remember specifically the seats at this one building in South Carolina, the university. I remember sitting in it and I was like, I don't fit that well. And
Yeah.
I was and as well as like some of the desks in school, I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so my journey actually kind of started a bit early. So when I graduated high school, the last weight that I marked, I could have been heavier, was 400 even.
Okay.
And then by the freshman year of college, I kind of dropped about 15-ish pounds. And went up and down between then and going into my sophomore year. And I was like, something has changed. Like, I got to figure something out.
Right.
And then I became an RA. That was a big influence. Like, how am I supposed to lead people be more, active and stuff like that when I'm having trouble walking upstairs, or at least, out of breath doing things like that. And so like I ended up not separating myself, but I had like this internship opportunity that summer as an RA, and being alone, being able to see the habits that I kind of formed over the years, how that affected my nutrition, my performance. I was able to really take a look at that. And I think I actually might have mentioned this, but one of my biggest reasons for wanting to lose weight is I want to stop sweating so much. Simple activities.
Yeah. Being the big guy and just, walking up and down the steps, like, okay, you're RA. And I know you had to go check on, other students and different things like that. And probably, walking a lot. And you're like, man, just to get from, this side to that side. He's like, yeah, I'm sweating or I'm hot, but it's like, man, this is profusely, and it's not until, like you said, you just take time out to say, okay, I don't think this is normal. That's one. And then two, it's, am I even supposed to, be sweating like this or being out of breath, or because you probably recognize it, like, nah, this ain't what's up. this ain't cool at all. I got you. So once you start to wrap your mind around that, what was like the first step in regards to like, okay, this is my day one of the new Shamar, and I gotta make a change? What was that moment right there?
So the date actually is coming up. It was May 27th, 2019. So
that's
when I originally like locked in, dialed in, I'm gonna start figuring this out.
Gotcha.
And for me, because I was an athlete, I combined that with learning nutrition. So I just started everything. I like started like writing my own, like experimented writing my own workout programs.
Yes, sir.
Then I started to delve more into nutrition. And then that's when I got to the philosophy that, yes, it is about calories in, calories out. That's very important. But then I started to want to look deeper. And I was like, okay, but what about quality? What about the calorie quality?
Yep. So right.
And like the micronutrients and like satiety and things of that nature, and trying to like play with different things, eliminating food. That is this, and even now for my clients, that's usually one of the biggest advice I give is start playing with things, start eliminating things, take out dairy, bring it back in after a few months, see how you feel.
Right.
And for me, one of the things I took out, other than like your typical desserts, sweet tea, which that broke my heart.
Yeah. Sweet tea. Oh yeah. Sweet tea. My grandma loved sweet tea. Loved sweet tea. Yeah.
So I would take that out and then started reading juice. I was like, okay, with sugar, all right. Or when I would have coffee. So one of the things then, I would drink water. That was it. Only sugary drink I would allow myself was the coffee, because I would put brown sugar in it. And I would measure it out. So I would have no more than like 35 grams of sugar in a day.
Okay.
And I felt pretty great, actually. And over time, the cravings for sugar went away until they were reintroduced from other habits, family, friends, going out, things like that.
Yeah.
So kind of, sorry.
No, I just wanted to hit on that point we talked about reintroducing sugar. into your system, even dairy. And I don't know if you noticed this, is that just as quick as, I guess, you can reduce sugar or eliminate sugar, however you want to classify it, into your diet, and you can be like, okay, right? You're like, okay, maybe it took a week, maybe it took 2 weeks to, for it, it's kind of like wean that, that sugar demon off of you, right? And then you go through this phase where you're like, okay, I'm cool without it. Do I miss it? Of course. You know what I mean? Who doesn't want a Reese cup? You know what I mean? But it's like, all right, I got to go. But then somehow, some way, whatever, it gets reintroduced. And then the body, it shocks a little bit, but then it gets, you almost get used to it again. And I said all that to say is that I've had moments like that where you recognize, like, okay, I can wean myself off of this sugar and I can be okay without it. And I can be okay without it for a while. A while can be subjective, right? As far as time-wise. But then when it's reintroduced, again, you go through that same phase again. You're like, all right, yes, it's familiar, and you may get a jolt. You know what I mean? It's almost like a drug. And then you go back into it. And then you realize, again, you got that up and down. You know what I mean? That up and down in regards to, let's say, sugar, processed sugars. And it's always an interesting journey because, we've been on these fitness journeys for a while, and there's ups and downs, there's ups and downs. And sometimes we think that we can just totally eliminate it or conquer it. And I think by conquering it, you have to go through those phases versus like, hey, I'm never doing that again. I've said that before and have set myself up for failure. But you have to almost like recognize, like, okay, you take something out and then you bring it back in, and then you take it out one more time to see if you can just go longer. And like, it's like intervals, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to hit on that, by what you talked about, by taking something out of your diet, then reintroducing even dairy. But I've put brown sugar in my coffee just as well too.
Mm-hmm. And even now with coffee, I've even tried to like move away from brown sugar. And I put honey in my coffee, which I really
me too. Yeah, me too.
I love honey as a pre-workout, so I actually will put honey in it, and I will drink coffee during my workouts.
Okay. Cold or hot?
Hot right now, but we'll see.
Yeah. It's like having your hot coffee, go ahead and make it or whatever, then go ahead and put your honey in it, because obviously the heat helps it melt and distribute, and then like cool it, and that way you can have some cold coffee while you're working out. That way you won't feel super hot while you're working out. I've done that too. Drink hot coffee, what I'm saying, while working out, and it does get your body hot if that's what you're going for. But currently this morning I had coffee. I didn't have any more honey because I used my honey in my green tea that I made, and I just had with almond milk. Some days I'll put some brown sugar in it, and then some days I'll put honey, and then sometimes I just won't. Some days I just won't. It's tough. Like those first 2 sips, when it's just black coffee like nothing, it's like, but by that third one, I'm like, okay, I'm all right. We're just so used to, like you talked about, having something sweet on our palate, and if, again, being 400 pounds, I was 400 pounds at one point in time too. And I had a wicked sweet tooth. Like you said, you're from the South, that sweet tea. My grandmother from the South, Mississippi, that sweet tea. So I've got a sweet tooth, you know what I mean, from that side of the family, and just on my own. So just, with that being said, like you said, you've, take things out and reintroduce it. Now, what was that moment when you said you lost like 10 to 15 pounds kind of initially, like the freshman 15, right? You kind of almost did the opposite. Freshman 15 people, their freshman year put the 15 pounds on because they're kind of left to their own devices, right? They're out of the house, party, study, eat, whatever. But you actually did the opposite, right? And then, you came to some type of standstill and then realized you want to, take it more seriously. What did it feel like losing those first, say, like 10 to 15 pounds once you really mentally committed to this lifestyle?
It felt refreshing, honestly.
Good.
To start to not feel like I was just either stuck in like a cycle or just being heavy. That was something about it too. But another thing I think that's important important, especially with major weight loss, is the mental aspect of it. Going into that freshman year, I for the most part, really started to be alone. I didn't really make friends up until, I would say, honestly, almost near the end of my sophomore year. So I was pretty alone. So I had a routine. I would get up, go to class, do homework, leave, come back, start over the next day. And it was college that actually made me realize that I'm actually more of a social eater. So if I'm left to my own devices, I'll just be like, I'm not hungry, or I just won't really eat.
Gotcha.
And so, but if I'm with somebody, we're going somewhere, it's a little harder for me. Like, I don't need to have that, or I don't want to have that at the moment. It's like, maybe I can have a couple bites, and those couple bites turn to like 4 plates.
Yeah.
And so, but I say that to say, especially like the mental piece, is that once you are alone, you're able to reflect. You start to understand some things that happen as you grow up and things you went through. And a lot of things, especially my clients and my friends, is that it's easy to get an emotional attachment to food. For me specifically, it was peanut butter and chocolate.
Peanut butter. That's my jam. Peanut butter. Yeah. Oh yeah, I went through a whole thing with peanut butter, but keep going. I want to hear what you went through.
Peanut butter was, I would, like, even now I say this, sometimes I'll say it is like not as good as it sounds. Like, I can go through one jar, 14 servings, 32 if I'm feeling a bigger jar, 2 days. And that's fast.
Yeah. Peanut butter. Yeah. That's my jam right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And growing up, that was one thing I used as kind of my comfort food. And as I started to take that out, that was actually one of the first things I learned. I was like, I'm not buying anymore. I'm not going to eat it. And then things.
You went cold turkey with that?
Yeah.
Did you go tell? Yeah. It's like, it's got to go. It's got to go. That's the first one. Yeah. How bad did that hurt? How bad did that hurt you to do that?
It hurt more than the sweet tea is the question.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right. That's cool. That's the answer right there. Now, I know. Yeah.
But no, it didn't, not initially, because I think I was driven at first.
Yeah. I got you.
About 3 weeks in, I was like, okay. I was using the master emotions, some things, personal things I was kind of dealing with.
Gotcha.
And so when I took it away, I had to start evaluating, self-reflecting. What am I going to do in life? Because around that time, sophomore, junior year, I also realized that because I was a physics major, and I had a goal of being an astrophysicist all my life, and I realized, I don't understand math as well as I thought I did.
I gotcha.
I went through a struggle, so I ended up changing careers. I thought I wanted to do psychology, which I ended up getting a degree. I thought I wanted to do higher education. And then that kind of made me want to go to observe more of the mental aspects of it. I was like, okay, maybe clinical psychology, specifying eating disorders, because I personally believe you don't get to 400 pounds for the majority of the population by accident, by mistake. There's things that lead to it.
Right.
Whether be small habitual habits or some traumatic event that may lead you down a different path.
Right.
And so, like, starting to really look into, okay, what can be changed? What can be looked at about food? And probably a hot take for some, but I know you kind of mentioned it very briefly, was that I think if we kind of viewed food, especially very heavily processed foods, how we look at drugs, the conversation surrounding about, like, maybe not having as much dessert or really processed breads would change. I think people would have a very different view about it. Because when someone may be trying to wean off alcohol, we're not as pressing about it. But if someone wants to stop eating dessert or maybe like processed cookies, some people tend to get a little bit more defensive about that, and they may not be even the one going through it.
You know what? That's interesting. I was looking at something earlier today, like literally legit, right on that same subject you're talking about. What do you think that reason is? I don't have an answer. I'm just legit just asking you, because it's like, why is it always so much pushback when it comes to somebody changing their diet, right? And you have experience in that of losing 155 pounds. It's more of the questions you get, like, when you lose 50 or lose 75. And it's these questions as if what you are doing is harmful to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, that's interesting. But me downing 2 jars of peanut butter right then and there, nobody bats an eye.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just curious to know what your thought process and, some of the reasons why people may approach it that way.
I've kind of gone through a plethora of like reasons why. Some of it is cultural. I think we do have like a cultural thing with foods. It's one of the reasons why I kind of like detach myself now from a lot of holidays. I think holidays have become less about celebrating something and more about like, okay, let's just get together and eat.
Yeah.
You can probably guess why.
Yeah.
That being a factor, and I think also a lot, especially over the time as people, at least in the US, people have been gaining more weight. The BMI has been going up. I think what it is, especially for people who start to like get away from eating out so much, changing their diet. One thing is, I think that person, everyone around them, they become a reflection of what they aren't willing to do. So it's
okay. I like that.
It's more like a self-attack. So I understand I'm not doing what they're doing, or I don't maybe have the mental fortitude, or maybe I don't have the capacity or even care to, but they're doing it and getting a different result. So I'm going to kind of deflect my anger towards that.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I love how you worded that. That does make perfect sense. It's like, okay, because I'm doing something one way or another and it's producing this result, right? And this result can be in weight loss, right? And now that you mentioned isolation, and I've gone through that, isolation during weight loss, because sometimes you do have to remove yourself because maybe you are the instigator. Maybe you are the ones like, hey, let's go down to Pizza Hut. Or maybe you're the one that said, hey, let's go down to Dairy Queen, right? And it's almost like, all right, if they get a small, I'm gonna get a large. You know what I mean? Maybe I need to remove myself because maybe I'm causing this person to gain weight. So now that I remove myself and I've taken that first step, now they may look at me now like, okay, this person is willing to do something that I'm not ready to do at the moment, or just period. But I really love how you worded that. So now that you've gone through that, you're starting to remove yourself and from certain, say, situations that you may not be as strong in too. And that's another point too. Just because you remove yourself does not necessarily mean, hey, think I'm better than you right now. Sometimes it's just I have to just work on me because I know where my weakness is at. It's not so much that I'm so strong in every single area, and it's like, oh, well, Shamar, he can bench press 400 pounds. He's strong enough to do that, but he's not strong enough from a jar of peanut butter. No. Okay. Accept it. And it's like people can't correlate, with that in regards to separating yourself. And sometimes you do need to almost like lock yourself away, it's like those movies, the werewolf movies where they know it's a full moon. So the guy, he'll lock himself in a little cage somewhere. so the rage monster won't come out. Like that's serious. That's serious right there. So you going through your isolation during your weight loss. What was it like losing that first 100 pounds? What was it? What did you feel during that time?
It was kind of up and down because I started at 19, and over the summer I actually lost very fast. I ended up losing 55 pounds within that 2.5 month period. So I went from around like 380, 375 down to like 320. Then the semester started, kind of some friends came back, and then they were like, whoa, what happened? I was like, well, kind of losing weight, change my diet, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
okay. But with that, some of the habits that we formed together going out to certain places started to come back.
Gotcha.
And then I try to have to combat that with my own learning. And I still can do it. Anyone who's from the Southeast, the cookout runs at 12. Yes.
Yes.
College.
Yeah.
Some of those things, but it started off quickly and then it tapered off a bit going into that December period. I ended up reaching that 100-pound mark, I think like January of 2020.
Okay.
Then I just continued from there. But what it felt like, it felt great. I just realized that as the weeks go by and I got lighter and was able to do activities, and funny enough, sweating didn't change much. But
yeah, I got you. You realize, like, you know what? I'm just going to be a sweater. I'm just going to be a sweater.
Just like, if I want to sweat, at least I would look fit in some
capacity. Yeah.
But from that, I would I just felt better about myself. I started to feel more confident, so I would be more open, more talking, just in general, more likely to do presentations. Because I actually like things like this. I like
Gotcha.
presenting and giving information. But when you're looking at your body differently, it can get hard to stand.
Yeah, because you're like, is everybody looking at this spot of me? It is a lot, and I'm glad you are bringing these points up, because those are some things that being heavy, being overweight, you think about. You're thinking of your imperfections, and you're thinking that everybody knows those, and they're looking and they're judging, which there's a possibility they could, and there's a possibility that they can't or they aren't. But just in your head, in your mind, even when you're standing up, and it's like, man, somebody looking out, I'm leaning over here, or I'm putting my hand over my stomach, or I'm trying to hold my stomach in, all these different type of things. You can't even focus on the speech that you're given. Did you find yourself more clear-headed in order to, like you say, gain a little bit more confidence, gain a little bit more confidence in public speaking? Did you find, during that first 100 pounds, you were more clear?
Yeah. So like I would start to begin to project my voice a bit more, at least being a little bit more confident when I actually spoke. In that aspect. And like I said, sweating, that was going to happen. It became less of a issue for me, because like if I'm like, everyone can see that I work out. I have big arms, big shoulders. So if I start sweating, I mean, like, I guess they can say something, but it's not oh, that's the fat kid sweating. It's more like oh, it's probably just actually hot in here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I got you.
And so going from that.
Go ahead.
But at least along those journeys for me, being more controlled with what I eat, that was nice to actually, okay, I'm not controlled by the food that used to be.
Right.
I can change how I view them, because one thing I like to do is I don't like to say I can't have or I need to resist. I think that sets up a bad association. It was more of a I don't want it anymore, or
gotcha. Yeah.
And so I think instead of trying to resist the desire in that state, and just changing that, I'd rather just not be tempting or desire anymore, is a better way of viewing it.
Yeah, that sounds more powerful. Like, you have control, but you choose not to. It's more of a choice, versus where you feel kind of like the can't is more, it almost indicate, or it can. I'm trying to be careful at even my wording. Like, even though I still want it, I know I can't, but I still want it. So you almost still seem almost defenseless in a way, because if there's enough pressure, you will break, versus like, no, I ain't no pressure. This is my choice. You know what I mean? Almost kind of like Zen, Zen-like. So when you were dropping your weight, did you have anybody help you at all? Like a personal trainer or nutritionist, or was it just kind of just going off of sheer will based off of the information that you were studying at the time in school?
So actually, I did not have a personal trainer or nutritionist.
Okay.
I kind of just started to dive into it head first, nutrition. I guess kind of what it was, and this is more of inspiration that kind of changed my career path, was in high school. One of our football coaches was actually a certified strength coach, and he kind of started to make our programs and walk through. And I would be very curious and ask certain questions about it, because I was like, okay, it seems more like a science. It's not random, as back in the early YouTube days, when it came to fitness videos and things like that.
Yeah.
So Coach Armstrong, to this day, great guy. He kind of gave me that step into that. But for the most part, my best friend was pretty influential when I met him my sophomore year. He'd be one of the ones because even though I say I don't have a desire, I'm still infallible. I can still make mistakes, or infallible. But
right.
And so I would see those Reese's, those look good kind of right now.
Yeah, that chocolate and that peanut butter talking to you, right?
Together it's dangerous together.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "You sure?" And it wouldn't even don't have that. It's just are you sure? And it's more of that reflective piece. I was like, do I really want it? And it would just leave the store. And sometimes even if I say I do want it, I would make it a step further. I was like, okay, well, how does this benefit? So if I do,
right,
will it actually enhance my performance? Will it make my day?
Right.
So, and if I go through that, I'm like, it's not worth it. By the time I thought about it, I was like, I'd rather.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. And it's like, when you are losing weight, those are some of the things that you do think about when people, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people ask, well, how do you do it? How do you do it? And it's like, that's one of the ways. And if you don't want to process a situation, slow down and process it, then your chances of surviving this fitness journey is going to be slim to none. It has to be moments like that. There's plenty of times, even when you're describing that, I'm looking at a big cup Reese. You know what I mean? Like when you're talking about that, I'm looking at that. And that is the thought process. You think, you have one of those kind of out of body experience moments. Like it would maybe take 2 to 5 seconds to, come up with a conclusion, but there could be a long 2 to 5 seconds that you're kind of having in your head. You're like, okay, yes, I do want it, but what is this going to do? Is this going to trigger me, to come back and get another one? Am I going to eat just one? Am I going to eat two? Am I going to eat 1 pack or 2 pack, and am I going to come back tomorrow? And when I come back tomorrow, it's going to be chips too. Is it going to be 2 cookies? All these type of different things. And it's like, okay, compare that possibility to what you are doing right now. You are great. You just lost, 3 pounds in, 2 days. You actually cut 10 seconds off of your mile run or whatever. I highly doubt you can sustain that comfortably if you make this choice to go down there. And then it's like, no, I don't want to do it. Cool. You know what I mean? And you walk out. And those are some of the mental processes, far as we're going, far as for right there. So you're doing that over and over again in regards to certain situation, whether it's social, whether it's just you being by yourself. It's like, man, I really want that. I really want that. And now you're down 100 pounds. What did it take to lose that additional 55? And how long did that take you?
It took me probably up until sort of 2020, the rest of that semester.
Okay.
Going into, because that's when, COVID started to creep around, things started to go in lockdown, which, funny enough, I actually continued to lose weight during that time.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it was once again social. Like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not eating anything.
Yeah.
But my physicality changed. So I've
Okay.
been through kind of different areas. I've done things where I've lifted, being big and lifted. In that sense, I was losing weight, but I did mostly running and mobility.
Okay.
So the 240, 239 I looked in, which I think was kind of in the picture I sent, and what I look like now being 240, 239, not the same at all.
Yeah. So when you had lost that weight, did you feel less, I would say, strong at all? Or do you feel like you lost any strength during that time?
Yeah, I feel like I did lose a little bit of my strength in that, which naturally one thing I'm doing is running. I'm not like lifting.
Yeah.
And then after that period, I think is when I begin to start like jiu-jitsu, doing that. So that's what I currently do now. I really jiu-jitsu very fun.
Okay, cool.
And so that was, and then that kind of changed my mentality a bit, only slightly, because now I was in a weight-based sport where you have to consider classifications. And so being 240, I kind of do want to get into the next division, which for the international level is 225. So that's about another 20 pounds for me to get down to, but making sure I use it at a comfortable pace.
I got you. Well, I hope you make it. Now, what lesson did you learn about yourself when you reach your goal that you can share with others who are like, on the fence about starting their fitness journey?
Oh man, which one?
Yeah. We go through a lot of just different lessons, because there may not be just one. There may not be just one. But if you have several lessons, pick one that you learned that, what, hey, maybe somebody needs to hear this to help them start or help them progress to push on and keep going.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the biggest ones is to, like I touched on earlier, really evaluate what may be the source of like how you kind of gain weight, what got you there over time, and what foods may have contributed to that, and then start to reframe your connection to that, whether it be limiting it or in certain instances completely eliminating it, which may have to be done, is one of my biggest kind of tips, I would say.
Got you. Got you. All right. I'm gonna shoot off a next couple quick questions,
Mhm.
and you just fire right back. So, what's your favorite cheat meal?
It'd be bad if I said I don't like that question.
Okay.
Mainly because I don't believe in the term cheat meal. I
No,
believe
you're
in
right. You're right. Keep going. Keep going.
if I
Yeah.
want something, I'll have it. So like say like let's say I
Or
eat,
indulge meal. Let's
yeah.
rephrase it. Indulge meal.
So let's say I'm like I want a burger, then
Okay.
I'll just go get a burger. And it's not
Okay.
like I've been good all week. It's just like if I want it, then I'll have it.
I gotcha.
But obviously within reason.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What kind of toppings you like? What's your favorite ideal burger? Like if it's like, you know what, since I want a burger, I'm gonna have it like this. What's your ideal burger?
I'm very basic. I kind of just like the cheese on it because the lettuce and onions, I just take them off and eat separately.
I got you. Okay. Okay. I got you. I got you be eating fruits and vegetables all this other
Yeah.
time. You're like, let me cherish these. Let me cherish these. I got you. I got you. All right. So what's your favorite, let's say, quote unquote, healthy meal then?
I really like baked salmon and
Yeah. Okay. You say potatoes?
mhm.
Okay. How do you cook your salmon? How do you like yours? You like it order out, or do you cook your own? And
Yeah, I make it myself with just some
okay.
lemon pepper.
Okay. Lemon pepper. I got you. I got you. How you like your potatoes? Diced or pan fried
So recently,
or baked?
I've been cutting them into wedges and baking them.
Yeah. Okay. 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 What kind of seasoning you like put on there?
If just a little salty, just some like salt and pepper. If I want a little
Yeah.
bit more spicy, some like cayenne pepper, paprika.
Okay. Okay. I've never tried cayenne pepper on potatoes. Okay. Okay. I've always been just like black pepper, but I do like cayenne. I have been using just crushed red pepper on just almost anything lately. Crushed red pepper on anything lately. And so you mentioned clients. Now, can you describe what it is that you do as far as like your profession? Since you've lost 155 pounds, where did that lead you as far as to where your current profession is right now?
So yeah, so right now I'm also a personal trainer at the
Okay.
University of Texas, and I'm
Okay.
an intern with the athletic department as a strength coach
Okay.
um, here as well. So I kind of
Awesome.
go in both realms.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, how long have you been doing that?
About a year now.
Okay. Awesome. 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 Now, describe to those who are listening who is, or your profession, your average like clientele. Like, who do you reach out to? Who's your ideal clientele? And, what is like, far as strength coach, who is that for?
You mean like for me or
For your clients, like if you were like the average, let's say average Joe or Jane that comes into your facility, what is it that you offer them? I think I should have worded that better. What is it that you can offer them?
I can offer them. A lot of them usually come for weight loss or
Okay.
knowledge. A lot of my clients are. I'm kind of new to lifting,
I
or
got you.
I'm not familiar with the gym. So that's it's more about teaching and then showing them proper movements and being more functional with like weights in their body so that they can have a longer and healthy life.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome. Awesome. Now, how do you fit working out into your schedule?
I actually work out pretty early in the morning, so I get up
Okay.
to go around like 7, 8.
Okay. 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 And what is a, let's say, typical, let's say Monday for you, right? What's a typical Monday workout for you?
Oof, Monday's a leg day.
Okay, Monday's a leg day. Okay,
Monday's leg
okay,
day.
okay. Let me know what your reason why Monday's is leg day for you, and I'll tell you my insight on that.
The reason why is I do it based on machine usage. From being in this gym, with other students, apparently that tends to be an upper body day for a lot of people. So I
Yeah.
just do opposite.
Yeah, same here. It's
Yeah.
pretty much the same. And I know if I wait till like Friday to do legs, then I won't. Hence, that's
Mhm.
why tomorrow Sunday, and I'm hitting legs with your brother.
Yeah.
When I text him, he was like, "Oh man," I'm like, "Okay." I'm like,
It's
"Yeah,"
true.
because usually I would do it on Monday, but since we've been working out together, uh, because of how our schedules match, and
Mhm.
Sunday's been a day that we can typically link up. Typically link up. If we meet on Saturday, we'll do chest, but Sundays is legs. And then sometimes I will still do legs on Monday, like legs and biceps. So we're going to do legs and biceps tomorrow on Sunday. But Mondays if I wasn't working out with him would be legs just as well, pretty much for that same reason, because everybody knows Monday is International Chest Day, right? Mm-hmm. Then after a while, you just kind of want to switch some things up. Now, what's your favorite muscle group to work?
I actually really like legs. I've always enjoyed squat, actually.
Okay. What's your least favorite?
I don't know. I guess back. I don't do it as often because my back grows very fast compared to every other muscle group.
I got you.
So
I got you. Okay. Cool beans. Man, it was great chatting with you. Chatting with you, man. I learned something new from you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you losing 155 pounds, because that is a feat in itself. Anybody who is on a weight loss journey, right? Don't get me wrong. 25 pounds is good and 30 pounds is good, but it's something just totally different to losing 100 pounds, right? That's cool. But then when you continually to go forth, you do 110, 120, 130, then 150, then 155. That's amazing. That's, I don't know, percentage wise, in the totality of people in the country, when they lose weight and do it naturally. That's important too. When you do it naturally, no surgery, no nothing, no disrespect for anybody who has, but I come from the same cloth that me and Shamar cut from, whereas you just do it naturally, right? Again, not down on nobody who hasn't. I'm just saying what we've done. It's a whole different monster. So I salute you. I salute you for that. Tell everyone where they can reach you if they want to connect with you. IG, website, personal training service, and all. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my main Instagram being _Shunami, TSHUNAMI _ at the end, and then my fitness one being fit, the letter N, wavy, both on Instagram.
Got you. And I'll have all of Shamar's information where you can connect with him on IG and everything in the description box. And this brings us to the end of another episode of the Success Fitness Podcast. And if you found inspiration in today's podcast and would like to support, then sign up to my weekly newsletter, the Success Fitness Newsletter. You will get access to my new ebook, How Many Calories Should I Eat? It's a guide with resources to find your daily caloric intake to ensure success in reaching your fitness goals. You'll also get access to my private Facebook community, Success Fitness Family, and weekly emails when this podcast publishes every Sunday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. The link to sign up to the Success Fitness newsletter will be in the description. So thank you for listening to the Success Fitness Podcast. And remember this, if it's not making you stronger, simply chant more weight, more weight, more weight. Peace out.